Can you have any meat if you don't eat your pudding?
The Tommy Boyds Show.
Back and to the left. Yeah.
The show with more endurance than radiation itself.
You say either, and I say either.
Apparently official.
Stand by, please.
Tommy Boyds.
Apparently official.
Have you no compassion? Stand by, please.
Let's rehang the pictures in the gallery of life.
There's no escaping here.
Tommy Boyds.
Morning. Good morning. They're about to pardon Derek Bentley, not before time. That's a separate issue, but it gets you thinking, especially if you're old enough to remember what happened to Derek Bentley, which is that they hanged him. And whenever you hear about or think about executions, you find yourself distracted by one piece of information which they always serve up in the report about what happened in the prison when the execution takes place. It's tedious, and yet you find your eye drawn to this piece of information. In fact, you sometimes go looking for this piece of information. It somehow seems to soften the blow of what you know happened, which is that somebody, rightly or wrongly, for better or for worse, blah, 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 we're not talking about the ethics of executions and capital punishment in this hour of the programme. We're talking about this other thing. It sort of lessens the blow of the terrible thing that took place in the prison. And you find yourself wondering how it would be for you if you were going to be executed in the morning. Because the one thing, no matter how they execute you, no matter where, no matter for what, they always say to you, what would you like to eat before you die? And prisoners generally, it seems, in the last couple of days, work out that they would like some fast food and a six-pack of that brown, sticky, sparkly goo. That's in America. Of course, it hasn't happened in this country for a long time. I say, thank goodness, we don't need capital punishment. But what I've always found myself wondering is, and I bet you have too, I bet you have. So let's talk about it, because we talk about what we talk about on this programme, and we do it the way we talk about it. What would you eat? Because I know what you'd order. I know what you would order if you were going to be executed in the morning. It's the same as me. You wouldn't have oysters, would you? Obviously, for obvious reasons. Very, very obvious reasons. And you wouldn't have anything exotic. You would have the ultimate in comfort food, the ultimate in adult comfort food, the ultimate in British adult comfort food, the food which makes you feel happiest and best, no matter what. You'd have fish and chips, wouldn't you? Free call 0500 10 53 89. We had planned a very complex programme. It's all down here in my notes about education in Britain today. But just before we came on air, we got talking about fish and chips. And the meetings room soared. The temperature went through the roof as everybody threw down their two penneth about fish and chips. What's the right fish to make fish and chips with? Two lot went off and had an argument in another room. But whether it's cod, rock salmon, which you can't get anymore, haddock. I've never had huss. I don't know why I wouldn't have huss. What is a huss? You don't see huss in a wet fish shop. Is it something else masquerading as a proper fish? Because there was that scare story that went round about 15 years ago that rock salmon is in fact dogfish. Yeah. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Where do you get the best fish and chips in Britain? And where do you get the worst fish and chips in Britain? The consensus of opinion tended to be that the further north you go, or the nearer to the coast you go, the better the fish and chips. In Scotland, it's a case of the further south you go, and the further towards the coast you go, the better the fish and chips. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Hampshire came bottom of our poll. It was generally reckoned that the fish and chips in Hampshire are the pits. The chips are soggy, and the fish has been poorly fried, and has been left lying in the warmer far too long. Free call 0500 10 53 89. What would you order if you were going to be executed in the morning? It would be fish and chips, wouldn't it? And you have thought about it, haven't you? And where do they make the best fish and chips in Britain? And why do fish and chips taste so much better by the seaside? I think it's because you've got the smell and the sounds and the taste of the sea salt on your lips to improve the wonderful flavour of the greatest dish of all. They say, people who don't know say that curry is the new British dish. It isn't. It just isn't. It's nice, don't get me wrong. But nothing will ever take the place of good old Chish and Phipps. Free call 0500 10 53 89. If you drive a lorry for a living, I bet you're tempted to have fish and chips every single night, wherever you are. I would be. They need to do it. Our lorry drivers need to keep their figure. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Free call 0500 10 53 89. John's our first caller in London. You're on Talk Radio. John, good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy. I'm a lorry driver, and if I was going to be shot in the morning, I'd have a nice juicy peppered steak and chips and a bottle of red wine.
You would?
Yeah.
And to finish?
Oh, no, I think that
would do you, would it?
Wine.
Yeah. And inadvertently, you've told us that your preferred method of being executed would be to be shot.
Yeah.
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 And you have thought about it, haven't you?
No, but I suppose it just came straight to mind if I had to be executed in the morning and been put up against a wall and shot. It's probably the least painful one.
There's something heroic about it, isn't there?
Well, you don't really have much of a choice in that when you think about it, but
there's something rather demeaning about being strapped to a bare hospital bed for a lethal injection.
yeah, that's true. I suppose if you're being shot, then you're sort of taking it on like a man kind of thing, aren't you?
And as with Gary Gilmore, people speak
a
about...
lorry around London.
Oh, okay. Do you have a fish and chips for lunch?
No, but I had fish and chips for dinner last night.
Marvellous.
First time I've had it in a while. It was very nice.
Isn't it extraordinary that I have never, in all the cookery programmes I've ever seen on television, they've shown us how to cook everything from an omelette through to a three-course dinner. I've never seen them show how to cook proper fish and chips at home.
No, maybe that's because it's pretty difficult to do at home. If you go to a good fish and chip shop, they know which fats to buy or which oils to buy, and they've got their ovens to the right temperature, and those domestic ones maybe just can't do the job right.
Well, you get told that the proper fat is lard.
Yeah, I went to a fish and chip shop in Dublin once, and I actually used bacon fat to fry the chips in.
Was it good?
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. It's supposed to be like, they reckon it's the best fish and chip shop in the world.
Have you ever cooked chips at home? Properly?
No, I've never done it, actually.
What do you make of the bake-in-the-oven variety that you can buy?
I had those a while ago. I didn't like them at all.
They're not the same thing, are they?
No,
they're just not the same thing. And I'm no enemy of hamburger chains, but what about those thin sticks of chips that you get in a cardboard carton with your hamburger? What do you make of those?
No, you can't beat a proper potato chip. I've actually heard that they're not actually made of potatoes, those ones. I mean, don't quote me on it, because I can't be sure I'm right. But I heard they're made of that, like, smash.
Yeah, it's some sort of a paste, isn't it, that's been pushed through a shaper.
Yeah.
John, thank you for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Our next caller is Marion in Newport. You're on Talk Radio, Marion.
Hi.
Hi.
You wanted to know where the best fish and chips shop was, or the best place you can buy the best ones from. Well, I can tell you. It's Logan's in Hale in Cornwall. They are fabulous. Wonderful. So clean, the presentation of it is lovely, and the fish and chips when you get them, it's the biggest fish that I've ever had anywhere in the country, and it's wonderful.
So you get value for money, and it's beautifully cooked.
Yeah.
And the service is friendly.
Wonderful.
Shall I tell you, though, the key way in which you can tell a good fish and chip shop from an average fish and chip shop?
Go on then.
I'm convinced of this.
Yeah?
It's how they organise the queue.
Is it?
Well, think about it. How many times have you gone into a strange fish and chip shop and not known which way to queue?
Well, you do there.
Yeah. They've got it organised.
Yes, they have, and they all smiled and friendly and hello and all the rest of it. They're lovely.
And how do you order cod and chips for yourself and cod and chips for somebody else? What do you say?
2 cod, 2 chips, please. That's it. £5.30. That's it.
Ah, yeah, but then they come back at you and they say, then they come back at you and say, do you want the chips separately?
No, she doesn't, actually.
No.
No, doesn't.
And if you were going to be executed in the morning, Marion, and I would campaign for you if it was happening. But if you were going to be executed in the morning, what would you ask for your last meal, your last supper?
I'll have some cod and chips from Logan's at Hale in Cornwall.
Bread and butter?
Doesn't have bread and butter.
Brown.
Fabulous.
Fabulous. Brown.
Go down there.
Yeah.
And just ask where they are.
Yeah.
People will know. They are brilliant.
Marion in Newport. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Steve calls now from Glasgow. You're on Talk Radio. Steve, good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy. How you doing?
Steve, I'm well. You?
Yeah, I'm fine. Bit wet up here. Hello?
Hello, you called about fish and chips?
Yes, Tommy, you should not eat fish and chips on a Monday. Do you know that?
Well, it does seem a bit odd, I grant you, but is there another reason besides convention?
Well, the reason is because the fish isn't fresh on a Monday.
Ah.
Because the fish markets are closed on a Monday.
Yeah,
but the fishermen need a day off on a Sunday.
No, Steve, that was then. We have fridges now.
But
Yeah.
still, you like the best fresh fish from the sea.
I couldn't tell the difference between a fried fresh fish and a fried fish that had died 2 days previously.
Well,
Could you?
You've not tried the Clyde fish then.
I have, as it happens.
That was all I wanted to say.
Well, I'm glad you called. Free call 0500 10 53 89. What my fishmonger told me is that if you're going to eat a mackerel, you should eat it whilst it's almost still alive. But a herring tastes better if it's been left for a day. And then there's what sort of potatoes to make the chips out of, and how fat to make them, and how to make sure that they haven't got any sharp bits which hurt the roof of your mouth if you bite them inadvertently, especially if your fish and chips are being eaten on top of a couple of pints, which happens. Landing craft, that's the best shape. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Roger calls from Corby. You're on Talk Radio. Roger.
Hi, Tommy, how are you?
All right, boy, and you?
I'm a bit busy at the moment. I'm opening up my fish and chip shop at the moment, so I'll have to be quick.
Wait a second, it's 3:20.
Yeah, I open at 4.
Do you get business at 4?
Yeah.
School children?
Yeah, well, they're all on holiday at the moment, but there's a lot of shift work around here. So they come in at all hours.
Chip shop round our way has just got these new fantastic bags that you wrap the fish and chips up in, and it keeps them warm for ages. I don't know how they work. They're almost thermal.
Never heard of them. I use the old-fashioned way of paper. Yeah. The trouble is, if you use those newfangled plastic things, that the chips tend to sweat.
Yes.
And they go all soggy and not very nice.
Why is it that cold chips left over from the night before?
Throw them away, don't use them.
But cold chips left over from the night before, if we take them home, supposing we take a spare portion home for Mum, and she doesn't want them, they're still left in the microwave, that's where we keep things, the following morning. You try to eat them, they won't go down.
They won't go what?
You can't swallow them.
No, I've never tried it myself, mate.
You should. You're a chippy, you should try all these things, for goodness sake. Goodness sake.
Well, normally I see enough of chips to not eat too many myself.
Do your hands smell of fish all day?
No, I wash them.
Yeah, but you can't get the smell off, can you?
Yes, you can,
Do you go to a party and people say, what's that?
Well, I work 7 days a week, so I don't go to parties very often.
Na, 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 na,
terrible, isn't it?
Okay, Roger, you're a chippy.
Yep.
You have spent your life up to your neck in fish and chips.
Yeah, some of it, yeah.
If you were going to be executed in the morning, surely the last thing you'd want to see is a plate of fish and chips.
That's right, yeah. I'd rather have a nice juicy kebab, which I'm cooking at the moment.
Thanks for your call, mister.
Thank you very much.
See you soon. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Jason calls from Barry. Jason, if you were going to be executed in the morning...
Yeah, I would have, right? I wouldn't have fish and chips at all.
No.
I'd have the condemned man's meal.
Which is?
Which is the ultimate, which is in Barry. Is a 100-ounce T-bone steak, gammon steak, 2 sausages, 2 fried eggs, chips on the side.
Of course, you could eat all the steak on the bone you wanted.
That's right.
Takes 10 years, doesn't it, for CJD to allegedly kick in, allegedly. And even with, the most lengthy appeals process like they have in Florida. Doesn't matter how long you're a dead man walking.
That's right.
You'll still be fried before...
Well, that's it. I mean, if I was going to get executed as well, right, I'd probably be wanting to put to sleep with a big full belly full of steak.
Yes. It's funny, isn't it? We do think about what method we'd choose if it was us and we were given a choice.
Yeah. Well, they say, it sounds nice, doesn't it, getting put to sleep, but apparently it's quite awful and gruesome and that when you get put to sleep.
Well, I read a book once and it said this simple point. It is very difficult to kill a human being.
Yeah.
Because we're actually very robust, and our will to live, is really sort of second to none when it comes to the human impulse.
I couldn't do it myself, mate. I'd have to, someone have to strap me down first and then actually inject me or whatever.
Yes.
But I could not have that without having a condemned man's meal.
No.
The funny thing, right, with fish and chips, right, have you ever heard of scrumps?
No.
Well, you know the batter on the fish, right?
Yes.
I don't know what they call it around. I know from...
Crinkly.
Well, yeah, it's all the little bits of scraps, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, what do they call it down there? Crinklies, you said?
Crinkly, they used to call it round my way.
Did they? Well, they call it scrumps in Barry, and I can't remember what they call it up in Newcastle, because that's where I come from, but I can't remember what it's called.
It's delicious as long as you're allowed to put enough vinegar on it.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
That is nice, mate. I like the McDonald's chips as well, mate. They're not too bad.
And it's good when you're allowed to put as much vinegar as you want on, so that your bag ends up, when you finish the chips,
Oh,
your bag ends up with about half a cup of vinegar in it, and you can drink it.
Yeah. It's not appealing, though, is it, when you walk into a chippy? And I mean, yeah, you're right, mate. You're right, Tommy, about the actual queue and that, and how it's well presented.
Very complicated.
You look at all the girls over behind the counter, all got greasy hair. They must go home and wash their hair 3 or 4 times to get that yourself.
Yes. Jason, thank you for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. We're discussing what would be everybody's choice as a final meal if we still had capital punishment in this country. It's bizarre, I know, but then people talk about things like this, so do we. And we reckon just about everybody would go for fish and chips, although there has been the inevitable variation, the footballer's favourite meal, steak chips, frozen peas, prawn cocktail, chocolate ghetto. What do you reckon? Free call 0500 10 53 89. And where do they serve the worst fish and chips if it's not Hampshire? I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Ho, ho, ho.
David in Falmouth is our next caller. You're on Talk Radio. Hello, David.
Hello, Tommy.
Hello, David.
How are you?
Never been better. How are you?
Oh, very well indeed. Very well indeed. We've just seen the tall ships go out from Falmouth, and what a wonderful sight.
Marvellous.
But back to fish and chips, Tommy, one thing we haven't spoken about, and that's the batter. Now, the batter, I think, makes the fish. Now, sometimes I've been to fish and chip shops, and the batter is soft, but when it's nice and crisp, that batter. Now, I'll tell you a little secret, Tommy.
Yeah.
When you go home, I'll tell you how to make perfect batter, and you can make your own fish and chips. What you do, you have, shall we say, a cup full of flour, put it into a bowl, and put in some beer. Pour in ordinary beer from a bottle, mix it up, put a pinch of salt, and then you try that as a batter.
Ordinary beer?
Ordinary beer.
What's ordinary beer?
Well, we say ordinary beer from a bottle.
There is no ordinary beer.
Right, well...
All beer is extraordinary.
Tommy, use lager. You get a can of beer.
Seriously?
You open up the can.
Yeah, okay.
And it's nice and frothy. Just pour that in, mix it up to a custard, to a viscosity that's nice and thickish sort of thing. And then, if you have your potato, we'll go to potato a moment.
Yeah.
Slice that up, boil it for about 5 minutes, let it cool, and dip that into the batter, and then put it into your hot oil. I'll tell you what, Tommy, you wouldn't have or taste anything so better. It comes up lovely and crisp.
Now, you Southerners, you're all very well with your batter.
Yes?
But I'm going to bring in a man who knows about his fish and chips.
Right.
Because he's a Yorkshireman.
Okay.
It's David from West Yorkshire. Stay with us, David in Falmouth. David in West Yorkshire, good afternoon.
Oh, Tommy.
Got this bloke on going on about the batter.
Yeah, but my complaint is I went to St. Ives in Cornwall.
Yeah.
Looking for somewhere to have some fish and chips.
Yeah.
And so there's a beautiful picture on this fish shop of fish and chips.
Yeah.
Went in and they delivered me this thing in breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs.
So I insisted on sending it back, and they
Quite
tried
right.
to tell me that breadcrumbs were more healthy for me. But it's not fish and chips with breadcrumbs.
Yeah, in point of fact, I think you two are of accord here, aren't you?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it is in the batter, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not. If it's in breadcrumbs, it's not fish and chips.
Why do they sell fish in breadcrumbs in pubs and call it fish and chips?
I think it's disgusting. I think it should be trade description that should be
Well, it can come out of the fridge. That's why, isn't it?
It's not. If it isn't in batter, it's not fish and chips.
Precisely. Thanks for you. Oh, one last thing.
Yep.
When you have a nice piece of fish,
Yep.
whether it's in batter or breadcrumbs, but preferably batter,
Yep.
do you like a bit of skin on it?
Yes.
I do too.
I'm unusual around here in West Yorkshire. They don't like skin and bones. That doesn't bother me.
Do they not?
No.
Our chippy offers you half price next time if you find a single bone
Yeah.
in your fish, but I don't mind.
No, I don't mind. It's proper fish if it's got bones. and skin on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And ditto the skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. David, thank you very much indeed for your call.
Thanks, Tommy.
Free call 0500. I should have asked them what they'd like for a famous, a final meal if they're about to be executed. Michael calls now from Bridgewater. You're on Talk Radio. Michael, hello.
Hi, Tommy. How are you, mate?
Michael, I'm still well. Still well.
I'm amazed.
Grateful for a further inquiry.
If you're a fish and chip eater, Tommy,
Yeah?
I'm amazed you're still well.
Why is that?
The cholesterol.
Now, you see, you're like Gary Stevens, the World Cup footballer who was one of Talk's panel,
Yeah?
who told me that him and his family no longer eat fish and chips because They had a blood test after one set of, big to do with pregnancy and things, and the nurse showed them all this white stuff in their blood. And they said, what's that? And she said, that is your cholesterol.
I'll tell you what, Tommy.
Go on.
We don't need capital punishment.
Yeah.
You don't need to execute anybody.
Yeah.
Just give them fish and chips.
You were a boy once.
Oh, yeah. But
You were a boy once, and you remember Alf Tupper, Tough of the Track, in those comics?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Or are you making it up?
No, I remember.
You remember Alf Tupper?
Tough of the track.
He always won.
That's right.
Threw himself at the line.
That's right.
Always beat the pole.
That's right.
What did he eat?
Fish and chips.
Nothing but.
It's
Nothing.
advertising. Tommy, it's advertising. Do you know, the worst thing Tommy, is when you go abroad, right?
Yeah.
You go on holiday, and you go into the hotel,
Yeah.
and they got all the food laid out,
Yeah.
and the waiters take the mickey out of you.
Yeah, if you order fish and
English,
chips. Yeah.
and they say, fish and chips.
Oh, English, you want fish
and chips.
Fish and chips.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. If you do have fish and chips somewhere where they're going to charge an awful lot for a plate of it, because I took 2 colleagues from Talk Radio round the corner to a fish and chip shop about a year ago and brought them lunch. 3 plates of fish and chips, 3 bottles of lager, best part of 60 quid.
God.
I know. And you know why?
Why?
Well, because they dressed the fish and chips up. And you know how they did that?
No.
Slice of lemon. Yeah. What do you do with a slice of lemon on fish and chips? You want to swim it in vinegar, don't you?
But I'll make a bet now, Tommy.
Yes.
You can take a beautiful piece of cod.
Yes.
You can take a lovely piece of mackerel.
Yeah.
Or something similar.
Yeah.
You can wrap it up in that stuff they call batter.
Yeah.
Chuck it in and fry it.
Yeah.
Stick it on the plate.
Yeah.
And the blindfold test is this, Tommy. Nobody will know what fish they're eating.
No. That's not true.
It's covered in that muck.
No. No, I can always tell the difference between haddock and anything else, because haddock tastes saltier, tastes of the sea. You can try that test on me anytime you like, sir. And how old are you anyway?
49.
I will outlive you easily because I dine at least once a week on fish and chips.
You don't.
What would be your last meal if you were going to be executed in the morning?
I'll tell you what I'd do.
Yeah?
I'd take a pan of water.
Yeah.
And I'd put in some beautiful new potatoes. Organic, if possible.
Oh.
That haven't been forced up with the old chemicals, you
know?
Oh. Beautiful new... Now, listen, Tommy.
Why?
Now, listen. Put a plate on top of the new potatoes, the pan, yeah? Put a lovely bit of fresh cod on top of that plate. Put a plate on top of that so the cod is sandwiched between 2 plates on top of the pan. And turn the heat on and boil your potatoes. By the time your potatoes are boiled, that piece of cod between the plates will be beautiful.
Yeah, but where's the fun in that?
Oh,
where's the fun? When you
taste, Tommy.
When you have...
Tell me, how many high-class, good restaurants have you been in where you sit down and you see on the menu fish and chips?
Very few.
Huh?
Very few.
Not many.
Well, maybe in Bridgewater.
Oh, no.
The point I'm making, and this is a crucial point, Michael, thank you for your call, is that there is something inherently fun about having fish and chips. You get them in a packet, and you spread them out on your lap, and the warmth goes through to your thighs, and then there's all that vinegar, and you've got to lick your lips because you have to eat it with your fingers. And there's something about fish and chips that reminds you of being in interesting places as opposed to boring places with your parents when you were small. So good memories, and only good memories, flood back from fish and chips. It's an eating experience which has nothing but good associations for all of us. All of us. It's the first meal out anybody ever bought by themselves. It smacks of family times, and it smacks of freedom, and it smacks of independence, and it's British. And if I was going to be executed in the morning, I would choose to be shot, and I would choose to have fish and chips as the famous last meal. What would you have? Steve calls from Oldbury. You're on Talk Radio, Steve. Good afternoon. Steve, start again.
I said, how are you? Well?
Still well.
Good. Faggots and peas and a pint of Batham's bitter.
No, you're not allowed alcohol if you're about to be executed.
Oh, you're not?
Have you not noticed that?
No, I didn't realise. It's never happened to me yet, so...
No, but they don't let you have any beer, which I think's a shame.
Faggots and peas and then sent off to the gas chamber.
You go to the gas chamber? Would you really?
You wouldn't have much choice.
Well, you choose that method. Oh, I see what you're saying, I think. Yes, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, the other thing about chips, a while ago, is what's a portion of chips?
Ah, that's a very good question.
Because you get such a variation, don't you?
That is a very good question. And, you know, newspapers like the Daily Express will start to frighten us that if we go into Europe, there will be a regulation weight for a portion of chips.
Half a kilo or whatever.
Yeah, that wouldn't be on, would it? We wouldn't want them weighed, would we? Part of the joy of chips when you buy them from the shop, you know, is you always get at least 2 big, fat, long ones, and you tend to save them, don't you?
Yeah, to the last.
Yeah, I mean, do you eat the sharp, nasty ones first, or leave them to long?
I'm just greedy. I just shove them all in.
Do you? What, handfuls of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if there's football on the telly, never mind. Steve, thanks for your call. Bye now. Pat's next, calling from London. Hello, Pat. Pat, you're on Talk Radio. Hi.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hello. The best fish and chip shop is The Brothers in North London in Finchley. Have you heard of that?
I haven't, but
No.
I'm going to have an argument with you because I
Why?
don't believe you can get
Yeah.
a portion of fish and chips anywhere in London that tastes as good as either in Yorkshire or anywhere on the coast.
No, I don't believe that. I don't trust seaside fish and chips. I always think the fish is frozen.
This is interesting.
I really do. Funnily enough, you've had a few calls from Cornwall, haven't you? And we've just been down there for a few days, and we were in Penzance, past a fish and chip shop, and my husband said, I bet they're good fish and chips in there. I said, no, I don't believe that. I said, I bet it's frozen fish. I just got this thing that on the coast.
Yeah, but all fish is frozen, isn't it, nowadays?
Well, yes, but it's more frozen
Because
than
but those trawlers, you know, they're out there for 60 days, aren't they now?
Yes, but it doesn't mean that comes in on the coast, does it?
No, but
I can't be convinced that.
But because you
seaside
don't
fish
want to
and
be
chips are any
convinced.
good.
You don't want to be convinced. That's because
no, No.
you're a frustrated pearly queen.
Oh, yes, perhaps I am.
You just want to beat London's tedious drum
No,
again.
really, it's so lovely. And they've got a marvellous queuing system. You're numbered.
Oh.
And
That's a bit antiseptic, isn't it?
Right?
It's a bit antiseptic.
It is a bit.
Here's the acid test. The acid test.
Okay.
Besides the queuing system they use in the fish and chip shop, the brothers are right. What do they call on the board the little pickled cucumbers in the jar? What do they call them?
Oh, dear. Well, my husband always wants one of those, and I'm always embarrassed to ask because I say, and a cucumber, but I don't think they are called.
No, I'm sorry, Pat, you're disqualified
Why?
for calling them cucumbers.
Oh, no, I thought I would be.
No, there you are, you see.
What are they called, do you know?
Round your neck of the woods, probably Wallies.
No.
Yes.
Do you think so?
Yes.
I'll look next time I
Or
go.
gherkins even.
Oh, yes, I think gherkins.
But I'm afraid if we go into a fish and chip shop and ask, and have to take a little ticket,
You don't
like
like it?
we're buying cheese in the supermarket,
Oh.
it's all too well organised, isn't it? Too antiseptic.
Oh, okay.
I bet they wear hats, don't they?
No, the girls don't wear hats.
Oh, well, you
There's
know.
a restaurant also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay.
No,
They're
not...
best eaten in the car out of newspapers.
Aren't they?
I believe you.
Aren't they? And the car then stinks of fish and chips for 2 days.
Isn't that good?
Why is that? You can bring a curry home in your car, can't you?
Oh, yes.
And the smell is gone.
Yes.
But if you have fish and chips in your car, even for 20 minutes from the shop to home, right, then the next 2 mornings you can smell them. It's the vinegar, isn't
Eaten
it?
with fingers.
Did you hear that rumour that fish and chip shop vinegar is not malt vinegar?
No.
It's a byproduct from making petrol.
Oh, don't.
No, I have heard this. I'm
Have you
convinced.
really?
I'm not convinced it's true, but I heard it from somebody who was vaguely scientific.
Yeah.
And he said that a lot of the industrial quantities of so-called vinegar are in fact collected from petrochemical refining plants.
I don't bother with that anymore. What about the salt?
The salt, well, there's salt and salt, you see. I mean, posh people nowadays have large salt cellars in their kitchen, which they screw round and round.
I know.
That's not the same, is it?
Not really.
And you know what you can't get everywhere nowadays? You can't get this in a pizza parlour. You can't get proper pepper, powdered pepper.
Oh, no.
You have to have a twist of that thing.
That's right. Yes, black pepper.
And it's crunchy. Because I like a drop of pepper in my tea if I'm having a cooked breakfast, drop of pepper in a cup of tea.
Really?
Yeah, it just gets your palate ready for the flavours.
So you don't have sugar in your tea?
No.
No, just have pepper.
But it must be that dust.
Yeah, I know.
Not a twist of the pepper mill.
No, okay.
Because that's crunchy. And if you were going to be executed in the morning, Pat...
Oh, yeah.
For a crime of passion, I would imagine.
Pardon?
For a crime of passion?
Oh, has to be.
Okay.
Why do we all know this, though?
What?
Well, straight away, I know. A pork chop, spinach, and new potatoes.
Oh, bless.
And a nice bit of gravy.
Your last meal?
Mm.
And then, as they always say in fast food restaurants, and to drink?
Oh, white wine, I'm afraid.
No, you're not allowed white wine.
Not allowed that.
No, the one time in your life you need a glass of white wine because they're going to top you in a minute.
You should certainly
Yeah,
do.
you've got to have mineral water or something.
I won't bother about the drink then.
No, you see. No, you wouldn't. Send
Okay,
it back.
nice pork chop and some spinach, love.
Pork chop and some spinach. Pat, thank you so much for your call. Free call 0500 1053 89. Stuart calls now from Bolton. You're on Talk Radio, Stuart.
All right, Tommy.
All right, Stuart.
Fish and chips in Yorkshire, they're crap.
Are they?
It tastes bloody awful oil they do it in. Oh, it's awful. You go in there, after a chip bar, and they look at you like you come from a different planet.
All right.
Oh, tea cakes.
You're gonna
tea
get-
cakes have raisins in them. What a load of nonsense.
Are you ready for an argument? Because you're going to get one.
Why's that?
Well, because people from Yorkshire feel very proud about everything, don't they?
Crap the chips. They can't play football. The beer's warm and the crap with it.
Give me a Yorkie on the line! We got Andrew in Bolton, in Leeds. Andrew, you're on Talk Radio.
Tommy,
Got a man on... Well, you've heard.
this man is talking rubbish.
Well, you're talking to him. Tell him what you think.
Hey, what's your name, Stuart?
Stuart, yeah.
How dare you say that fish and chips in Yorkshire are crap?
They are crap.
Where have you been?
Oh, Huddersfield.
I'm not surprised in Huddersfield. Everything's crap in Huddersfield, isn't it?
The oil that they cook them in, Jesus H, it tastes for ages.
Rubbish, man.
Get over to Lancashire, get a proper...
You're
chips and
talking
fish
rubbish,
down your
Stuart.
neck.
I'm sorry.
Your beer's crap.
So where do you get your good fish and chips from then?
In Bolton or in Manchester.
In Bolton?
Yeah. Proper
I
chips
don't
in
believe
Bolton,
it.
mate.
I don't believe
chips,
it.
Real ones.
He's got a point about football, Andrew.
What, in Yorkshire?
And beer.
And beer?
Pint of bodies. Fish and chips down your neck.
It's rubbish. It claims it's the cream of Manchester and it's about as creamy as water.
Ah, but it's a good ad, isn't it?
It's a brilliant ad, yeah.
Do you want a flake in that?
Get some bodies gold down your
Can't
neck.
have any more. I like that.
Tetley's is miles better than Boddington, Stuart. I'm sorry.
But what about the women?
Where?
Yorkshire.
Not so good. Not so good, Tommy.
Well, he's right
Much
there.
better in London. But, Tommy, I wanted to say in London,
No,
right,
no,
I used to live there
Yorkshire,
2 years. You listening?
Yes.
Right, in London, I used to live there 2 years, and the fish and chips down there are absolutely awful.
They are.
And the thing is, in London, you can't get
No.
a decent, just a fish and chip shop. They always sell kebabs and they always sell this and that.
Mm.
But up here, you get shops that are just fish and chips.
Yep.
And that's just how it should be.
You're
In
totally...
Yorkshire.
What?
You get fish and chips with bloody oil all over them in Yorkshire.
Well, that's the idea, because they're like fried in oil, Stuart. You know, it usually
Yeah,
helps.
but give over. It's like bloody axle grease that they put on over there. And what about all this about barn cakes? You can't get a barn cake. What's a tea cake?
Tea cake's a bread cake, isn't it?
Tea cakes have bloody raisins in
No, they
them.
don't.
Get a barn cake down your neck.
Tommy,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, right, what do you have? Do you have curry sauce or mushy peas?
I would have mushy peas if I had to have either, but really speaking, I don't like anything on the plate besides fish
Really?
and chips. No. I don't. Not. That's me.
Mushy peas are spot on.
And mushy peas are grand, and I like pea soup, and I make pea soup, and, you know, bloody-blah. But if it's fish and chips, it's fish and chips for me. Vinegar and salt. Do you know, boys, do you know this? Listen. You know John Major was Prime Minister for 7 years?
Yeah.
And we all thought that he was a bit of a flake,
Yeah.
didn't we?
We did, yes.
I
What did
thought-
you say, Tommy?
I thought he was a Russian agent, but I also thought he was all right. Because I found out that he used to always argue with people about whether vinegar should go on before the salt, or the salt should go on before the vinegar.
Oh, no, the salt's got to go on first.
No, vinegar on first so your salt sticks to it.
No, the salt
They're off,
then,
you see.
if you put the salt on first, the vinegar then
that's
soaks
the
it into the
trouble
fish
then,
and
isn't it? You
chips.
want to get the vinegar on first over there, not the bloody salt.
Well, listen, if you put the salt on first, the vinegar will soak it nicely into the fish and chips, you see.
No, you
You haven't
over
thought
on
about
it.
this, have you, Stuart, really?
I've thought about it, all right. I've thought about it when I'm over in bloody Barnsley buying fish and chips and it's bloody awful. That's
Well, I
what
have
I've
to
thought
say,
about.
John Major's gone up a bit in my estimation.
Yeah.
Really. after
Boys,
that.
Stuart and Bolton, Andrew and Leeds, thank you very much
Leg of lamb,
indeed.
Tommy.
Yeah.
Leg of lamb is your last...
Oh, sorry, yeah, I forgot. Stuart and Bolton, if you're about to be executed in the morning,
Yeah, leg of lamb, mate.
leg of lamb,
Leg of lamb.
And?
Get that down your neck. And some proper chips.
proper chips,
Loads of gravy.
Yeah.
A couple of new potatoes and a couple of roasties on there as well.
right? And how
Leg
would
of
you,
lamb.
and how would you be top? How would you have them top you?
Slowly. If you go, you might as well draw it out, haven't you?
How slowly? Over the next 30 years?
Well, something like that.
Killing with fish and chips from Yorkshire, Tommy.
Stuart, one last question.
Yeah.
Have you ever had chips with anything for your Sunday lunch?
No.
Leg of lamb. Stuart, thank you ever so much for your call. And Andrew, same question for you then. Go on, boy. Your last meal.
Last meal, well, it'd be a toss-up between fish and chips and chicken madras.
Chicken madras?
I'd go for the fish and chips with mushy peas.
Right.
And I'd want to be killed. I think it'd be lethal injection.
Lethal injection?
Yeah.
Fair enough, yes. And who's your team, by the way, since you brought up football?
Liverpool.
Liverpool? Yeah.
A bit ironic since I live... Well, it's not ironic, it's just stupid since I live in Leeds, really, isn't it? But
not at all. You've got an interesting season coming up, haven't you?
We have.
You've got two best strikers in the football...
What do you think?
In English football, and nobody else.
Listen, do you think Fowler's going to rise to the challenge or not?
No, I think he's off.
Yeah?
I think he'll be off.
Well, I think he could do some special things.
No, I think he'll be off.
I think he'll want to compete with Michael Owen, and he'll be...
There's no room at
blinded.
Liverpool for two strikers so identical, and I think Robbie Fowler will get a good offer from somewhere like Villa or something like that. I do. Anyway, look, we could be here all day. It's been lovely talking to you. Alan Mullery's the man for conversations like that, not me. What do I know? Free call 0500 10 53 89. On the back of the latest report from the United States that a prisoner has been executed, and once again you're treated to the most meticulous description of the prisoner's last meal. One finds oneself wondering if anybody in Britain would choose anything other than fish and chips for their last meal. And where do they make the best fish and chips? And where do they make the worst fish and chips? And why do fish and chips taste so good out of the wrapper standing on the seafront? It's that noise, isn't it? The sea... Free call 0500 10 53 89. It's a lazy Tuesday afternoon. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Have you got some food that you eat even though you know it's going to disagree with you, but you love it so much you always eat it? Because I do that with whelks. If the rugby's on, the home internationals, ever since I was a boy, I used to have a bag of whelks to watch the home internationals with, and nowadays they make me jippy, but I won't not have, if the home internationals are on, I will always have some whelks. I just wonder if you're the same. I bet you are. I bet there's something that you know disagrees with you, but you can't resist it. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Claire calls now from London. You're on Talk Radio. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Tommy.
Claire.
I'm just ringing to disagree with your previous point about not being able to find a chip shop in London that's as good as the ones by the seaside. Because my local chippy, which is in Archway, serves the most fantastic fish and chips. And I come from Blackpool, so until I moved to London, I got the best fish and chips in the world, I thought, but now I've got really good fish and chips here.
I'm going to take you up on fish and chips in Blackpool.
Are you?
I'm afraid I am.
Why, do you think they're good or awful?
I don't think they're the best because it has such a high turnover because everybody eats fish and chips and nothing but in Blackpool.
Well, they're probably not as good now, but they were when I was younger.
Do you know what I love about Blackpool and Southend? I don't know if this applies anywhere else. Right, you go there for the first time and you got a pocket full of change for the penny arcades. And you think, I wonder if I'm going to be able to find a penny arcade, and I wonder if I'm going to be able to find the fish and chip shop for my lunch. But it's not a problem, is it?
Not really.
As you go down the seafront, it's penny arcade, fish and chip shop, penny arcade, fish and chip shop for about 800 yards. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Except, as I say, when they've got a high turnover, like they do in
Not as
Blackpool.
good now. I mean, I have to admit that I've lived here for 19 years, you see, so my favourite fish and chip shop now is here, which is strange, really.
How many times a week do you have fish and chips?
Once.
And it's on?
Not always the same night. I'm not traditional about Fridays.
No.
And often I'll have chips with something else as well, like I'll make something at home.
Pedants think that the Friday fish and chips routine came about because of Catholicism.
So they say.
But it didn't.
Go on then.
No, it came about because we associate Friday afternoon, Friday evening and our Friday night meal with looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, pleasure in finishing work.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not because God deprived us of eating meat on a Friday. It's because we're all looking forward to the weekend and we associate fish and chips with fun.
Well, that's why I have chicken curry and lager on Friday night.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's a good way of doing it, isn't it? Go on, your last meal if you were going to be executed in the morning.
Bacon and egg and sausage and fried bread. And possibly a view through the window of the sea, but I don't think I get that.
Oh, you sound like
And a pot
Hannibal
of
Lecter.
tea.
Do you remember Hannibal Lecter there?
Oh, is that what I sound like?
No, when Clarice Starling goes to see Hannibal Lecter and she asks him if he'll solve this new Buffalo Bill murder thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he says what he wants in return.
Right.
And he says, he'd like to be moved to a new cell, Clarice.
Right.
I'd like a room with a window and with a view of a tree possibly some water. They're making a new one, aren't they?
Oh, well, I hope it doesn't say anything about me, that. What, they're making a new Hannibal Lecter?
Yeah, he's getting 15 million. It's the most any actor's ever been paid to play any role.
How ridiculous.
Yeah, but before that, he's got to finish off his current project.
Which is?
Zorro.
Oh,
Can't imagine Anthony Hopkins. He is. He's currently in America filming Zorro.
Sad, isn't it?
It is a bit, isn't it? Anyway.
It's great to talk to you.
I'm really glad you rang.
Yeah, I tried before once, but I
Very
waited
kind.
and didn't get through, so this is good.
Very, very kind of you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Nice lady. Dave in Harrogate has called for an argument. You're on Talk Radio, Dave.
Tommy.
Welcome.
All right, I just want to tell that man in Bolton.
Yes.
He got me quite mad, you know.
Yes.
Fish and chips are the best in Yorkshire. Have you ever heard of Harry Ramsden's?
Oh yeah.
The world's best fish and chip shop. Where's that?
Up north.
Yeah, Yorkshire.
Aye.
So what's he on about?
Do you want an argument?
With him, yeah.
Do you fancy an argument with a soft southerner?
Who's he?
Well, it won't be difficult to find a soft southerner.
Go on then.
Oh, you reckon that Yorkshire fish and chips are the best, dear?
Easily.
All right. Okay, you stay there then.
Yeah.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. If you disagree and you are a soft southerner, I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. It's Quiet Tuesday. There's a good argument for listening. Yeah, we found a soft southerner. It's Chris calling from Poole. Chris, you're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Did you hear what Dave in Harrogate had to say about Yorkshire fish and chips?
Yes, I did, yeah.
And what would your point be?
Well, I haven't actually tried Yorkshire fish and chips, to be honest.
Okay.
I agree with him in a way. I don't agree with the guy from Bolton.
Yeah.
He's got it wrong. Yeah.
Too right.
Yeah. I was saying that I was up in Bolton a few months ago at my in-laws, and we had fish and chips, and we went to the chip shop, and you couldn't even choose what fish you wanted. It was up on the board as fish and chips.
Really?
That was it, yeah. And it was all served with gravy or curry sauce, which seems a bit wrong.
I don't care too much for that.
No.
There was an old spin bowler. I think he was a Yorkie, Dave.
Yeah?
Do you remember Simmons? Is it Jack Simmons?
I think I've heard his name somewhere.
He packed up cricket to open a fish and chip shop because he wanted to be able to buy as a regular order and sell as a regular order his idea of a proper plate of food, which was 2 cod and a steak and kidney pie and chips, all on the same plate, covered in gravy.
How much was that dinner?
I don't know. He probably would be able to knock it out for a watch. What would you reckon? What would you pay for that?
Not more than a £5.
No.
No, not about £4 maybe.
Yeah.
Why? How much would you?
Me, I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't mix fish. I wouldn't mix surf with turf.
You can't put that sort of stuff with fish and chips. Anyway, fish and chips is meant to be fish and chips.
You can't have gravy on fish and chips.
No.
No.
It's not. It'd spoil it.
It does.
It spoils it.
It's a clash of two cultures, isn't it?
Tomato ketchup.
No.
What?
Brown sauce.
No.
Brown sauce.
You can't have it without tomato ketchup.
It never. Don't let that bottle ever near a chip. It's too sweet.
The brown sauce.
Brown sauce.
I don't like brown sauce.
Do you know how to make a chip butty?
Yeah, get a lot of chips. Put in some bread and butter.
Oh.
What?
Dave.
Yeah?
How old are you?
16.
It shows.
No.
You've learnt nothing.
You what?
You've learnt nothing. You're but a child.
Why? How would you make a chip butty?
Chris in Poole.
Hi.
What age are you?
30.
You've made some chip butties.
Occasionally.
Occasionally?
Yeah.
Well, you can go away too.
I don't ever put batter on.
Look, this isn't good enough. If the men of Britain, and it probably is men, I don't know if women eat chip butties, but there is a way of making a chip butty, and plenty of ways of ruining a chip butty. I don't know if we've got time, but you can try. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Jim is our next caller from Bradford. Yo, Jim.
Tommy.
Welcome to Talk Radio.
Thank you. First time caller.
Glad you rang.
That bloke from Bolton.
Yeah.
Don't have a clue.
No.
Best place to come for any cuisine, well, a lot of cuisine is Bradford.
Cuisine?
Yeah, well, you know, posh food. Any food, really.
Bradford cuisine?
Yeah. Not only are the fish and chips excellent, but it's the best place to come for a curry in the world. Never mind India. Curries in Bradford are the best in the world.
You remind me of this bloke I was working with once, from Disney. You can imagine what they're like.
Oh, thank you.
And he was a sort of a, I don't know, there was something of a Jehovah's Witness at your door on a Sunday morning about him. Do you know what I'm saying here?
Slightly.
Pushy.
Pushy.
Bit suited.
He was a bit pushy, saying everything from Yorkshire's crap.
Well, yeah, well, we've moved on from there. It's just that on the way home from the airport back to the hotel, he said to me, do you like Mexican... He said, have you ever eaten Mexican food? And I said, only in Mexico. And he went, it's not the same. And you're making the same point about Bradford curries, aren't you?
Well, they have now a big reputation for being the best in the world. All right, maybe they are the best in the world, but I would definitely recommend coming to Bradford for a curry.
Kim, thanks for your call. I'm going to squeeze in Trevor as our last caller. Trevor in Southampton, you're on Talk Radio.
Hi, yeah, I just can't wait to get to Bradford. He sounded really enthusiastic about his chips up there.
It was a bit soggy.
It was a bit. Well, I'm pleased to hear you're still well anyway, Tommy, but I've got a little story to tell when some French people came over to stay with us. We're twinned with a little village called Orty, and the mayor of Orty came to stay with us. And he wandered off down to Bournemouth for the day. And he came back and he told us that he went into a fish and chip restaurant. And he went up to the counter. He was with his family, and there was 4 of them. So he spoke in his best English. He said, I have 4 places, please. And the chap behind the counter said, that's £38.50, please. And he just looked at him and he said, what, just to sit down? Are you with me, Tommy?
Yes, oh, how we laughed.
Yeah, so did he. He didn't quite understand.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.